as a community can prevent that kind of thing from happening again. As most of you probably know by now, a young brother by the name of Nipsey Hussle, a young rapper out of I think LA, was murdered a few days ago by another brother who took his life. Apparently Nipsey asked him a question or made a statement about him possibly being a police informant or a snitch. Brother got upset, got his feelings hurt, left, came back and shot. Well, I know he shot several times. I'm not sure if he was shooting at several people, but he was definitely shooting up Nipsey's business, and apparently from the video that I saw, Nipsey got hit and he came back 2 other times to make sure Nipsey was dead. I don't really want to speak about these two individuals. The story is tragic. Young brother trying to do the right thing, trying to get his life on a certain path, had been doing some things in the community that all of us would be proud of, all of us are proud of. But the fact that he's no longer here because another young brother took his life is a problem. And I am saying that as a community, we failed Nipsey Hussle. I'm saying as a people, we failed the brother that killed him. And I'm saying that because we haven't done enough to place not only layers of security around our children, but we haven't done enough as a community to ensure that a gang lifestyle or a gang what's the word? A young brother that's part of the Black Gold movement. He said that Nipsey wasn't I can't remember what he said. He said there was a difference between Nipsey being a gang member and a gangster. He was trying to say that Nipsey wasn't a murderer and that he didn't have any bodies on him. He didn't kill anybody, but he was a different kind of gangster. I can't remember the terminology he used. But my point is that as a people, if we know that our children are targeted by a system that's anti-black, if we know our children are targeted by gang members or gang activity, they're drawn to that because they don't have enough outlets in the community. If we know that when our children are born, they're born with targets on their backs, if we as adults know that, and we've been knowing that since the late 70s, early 80s, when gangs really got ramped up. And if you do research on the history of the Crips and the Bloods, you know that the American government is smack dab in the middle of it, as usual. Still dividing and conquering our people, and we're still falling for it. For whatever reason, we're still falling for it. So my point is that if we're going to change this kind of senseless violence and murder, if we're going to change how our communities look, how our communities function, what our community produces, if we're going to ensure that a story like this, where we got a young brother trying to do some good in the community and he's ultimately murdered by another brother in the community, then we're going to have to put in some work. We're going to have to get serious about what our children are up against. We're going to have to get serious about changing the power dynamic on the ground in our communities. We're going to have to get serious about controlling the environment in our communities. I'm saying we as a people failed both Nipsey Hussle and the brother that murdered him, because from the time they were born, they weren't placed in environments that would not only raise them in a fashion where they would know who they are, understand their connectivity with their people, understand that they have a purpose, understand that their gifts, their talents, their creativity can be honed and nurtured and used to move their people forward. This is going to continue to happen if we don't produce that kind of environment. These brothers, the brother that shot him, definitely had issues with how to deal with his anger, his aggression, his frustration, his confusion. Definitely had an issue with being able to take another black life. And of course, I do not know this, but would we be surprised if he had done this kind of thing before? Either shot at a black person or black people and or killed a black person or black people. And of course, that's a problem. The level of self-hate that we have toward one another is a problem. The ease at which we sell one another drugs and pimp, prostitute, murder, rape, kill one another is a problem. And none of these things are going to change if we as a people don't put things in place to change them. The murder of young Nipsey Hussle is a tragic story, but it happens, as all of us know, far too often in this country, where we got our people shooting one another, shooting at one another, fighting one another.